G'day, my name is Trevor Young. Welcome to Crank the Third. This is the show where we explore the potential of everything to do with creativity and entrepreneurship post 50 years old. And in the house today, we've got someone who, keen listeners of the show will remember that this show was called Reputation Revolution, and a long-term guest a couple of times on that show was a man called Mark Masters, founder of You Are the Media, and we got him back in because his story is a good one, and he's just turned 50 and he's found his purpose. He's going gangbusters. This is going to be an inspirational interview, chat, convo. Mark Masters, who are you? What do you do now? Because I just said at the outset, you run a company, you're a founder of a business called You Are the Media. Can you give us a thumbnail sketch, please?
Yes, so, and hello, Trevor, and hello, everybody. You Are the Media is a marketing learning community, and what we represent is how can we, and us listening to the show, how can we promote ourselves and our businesses without an over-reliance on an algorithm or paid ads. And I realised that the strength is when you feel a part of a community with everyone else on your side. Community is central to what I do. I've been learning, I've been studying it for 10 plus years, and in order to show it to people, I had to make it work myself. So that's what You Are the Media represents, people from all over the world like your good self, and it's given me the most joy in my life.
And just a quick rundown on it. It did start as a newsletter. You were running your own agency down on the south coast of England. And is the agency still going, or as the community has grown, and it's a paid online community now, and you have events and all sorts of things? But what about the consulting side of things?
Yeah.
That was your main bread and butter. Are you still doing that?
Yeah, the way it's worked now is that the community is becoming the main revenue builder. So I build my revenue streams via the consultancy, which I work with others to help them build their community and their audience, as well as You, the media, is centered around, as you mentioned there, membership. We have live events. We also work in education, working with young adults as well. And so I realized as well the importance of diversifying our revenue streams, something that many of us realized after COVID. So yeah, that's how we build that, and without being wholly reliant on one space. But the community, I am an example of how a community became the business, and that's really empowering.
And I'd say you're one of, you've been doing this for quite some time now, and you have scars on the, I use that phrase a lot on this show.
Yes.
Scars on the knuckles, metaphorically, unless you have got scars from getting out and getting into fisticuffs with others, or being a bouncer, I don't know, but no, metaphoric scars on the knuckles, been out there fighting the good fight, riding the ups and the downs. But It feels to me that you've really nailed this whole notion of community while still learning all about it. But at the end of the day, it's a growing concern for you. And the thing is about community is when you can almost take a step away and the community keeps going, because it is about the people. And you are, yes, a leader and a facilitator of that, but others now step up in that community, and that's why it is a true community, whereas a lot of brands will say, oh, we have a brand community. No, you don't. You have a couple of followers on social media, and that is all. But that's not what this is going to be about. This is about, I want to go down the path of, finding purpose is really hard for a lot of people. And I guess that's the thing, is you probably didn't set out to do this. So walk me through. To my mind, you've taken a chance, you've come up with an idea, it's been in the making for 8, 10 years, 9 years, or,
we started in 2013.
2013, thank you. 12 years, come out to 12 years. And how taking a chance, creating a project and chipping away at it while you've got your day gig can actually turn into a full-time thing. And would you say you've found your purpose, professional purpose, as a result of that?
Very much so. I had flexibility. One of the downsides to all this, though, is that when you have a side project, I took a side project in the spirit it was seen. and the side project is something that we don't take seriously. It may be something that we dabble with on the side. So for many years, no one took this seriously. The biggest issue is when you step forward with something, it takes longer to get people to buy into an idea. My idea is around this idea of community and interdependence, and how we recognise that we're part of something much bigger than ourselves. Well, this is work related, this is still work, but how we can work with other people and allow others to be seen. So that was the idea. But when you have an idea, it takes time. For instance, if my side project was on social media or AI or SEO, that's a lot easier because it helps people make that connection. When you're creating a side project, it does take time. But it's easy to be distracted, like somebody leaves a job or they're going to go all in. And that's really dangerous because you don't know if the audience are there. What helped me was that, yes, there was ways and means of making money as a consultant, so that was the main income stream. As you work on your side project over the years, you have the opportunity to grow an audience. And when you grow an audience, it's the ability to reach out to people and to connect and to start to build relationships. And these relationships can grow into something much stronger. For instance, the whole show format that you have here, I like the idea of getting older together with people, and I love that. And it's still work, it's still everything that we're trying to build, and revenue and income for our families and everything else that we're doing. But side projects can be risky, but they can also create the most joy and reward that we've ever stepped into.
Was there a period of time when how long were you going with the You Are the Media concept? As I said, it started as a newsletter, which is still going today, by the way, a weekly newsletter. You don't miss a beat on that. But was there a period of time when you said, okay, I'd like to build this into something? How long did that take? And part two of the question is, did you get to a point where this is getting too much for me as a side project?
It's taken too long. If I'm being straight with you, it's probably taken a lot longer than envisaged. But that was because there was never an end game. And so what started in 2013, it was the newsletter, and I wanted to have a means of finding my voice. Everything that I've done, Trevor, was around, well, no one's ever going to pick me to do anything. I have to choose myself here. And I wanted to be better at writing. And that's why I started a newsletter. It was very generic. It was very marketing led. There was nothing different than anything else that was out there. And then I started to realize this is a big turning point. And it was in 2016 when I could see that there were people subscribing from a local space, people that you now know as well. Because I wanted to meet the people that were subscribing so we could get to say hello. So rather than creating a networking event, I thought, well, can we find a way? So that was a tipping point in 2016 when I thought, can I meet these people that subscribe and receive a Thursday newsletter? Because then we can have a chat and a conversation. And why don't I tie into that the themes of the newsletter around, then it had more of a content marketing slant to it, but how can we look at this idea of an owned media approach to our work and people that are doing stuff, and let's just keep that going. So there are always these milestones. A lot of the milestones or these lines in the sand have been through things not working as I would have wanted them to, or I don't want to say the word failure, but things that have happened that were not according to plan. And these have always been the pivots. So it's quite interesting, that, isn't it? That we're always here to share how something worked and we're led astray, and that's horrible, and the baggage that we carry with us. Whereas really that when we're trying to make something work, those defining moments are sometimes when we're at our lowest ebb.
Was there a period where it was starting to, still a side hustle, or I don't like the word side hustle, but a side project, and it started to take time and take time away from your consulting business, so your earning capacity? Did you get to a point where I've got to go all in on this, or I've got to pull back? And did you struggle with that? Was there a juncture like that?
There was a big thing, So I made the decision to create a paid membership space. So in 2022, I deleted the Facebook group. That was a means of reaching out to people in a digital space. And we created a platform on Circle. So I invested in that. This is what I mean. So those moments are when you're invested in something else. So there's an exchange of money for something, and you're putting a lot of your work on the line because there's money involved. So in 2022, this was in answer to your question, it was that by investing in a membership space, but it was new to me. I made it free for the first 6 months or so. I said, because I was learning with other people, because this was a new platform to me, this was a new experience for me. So that was my investment. So to make it work, I had to give time. So I had to invest quite a bit of time to make it work and understand and figure it out. So, but where we are today is a lot different. When you're building a community, Trevor, you have to realize that there's a lovely word called passive income. But you have to work really hard to see the fruits of your labour. So, which is why community building is really, really hard. Because you have to invest time in a community. You have to invest time with people. You have to look at ways that people understand the value that they're receiving. So that was the moment when you take this side project to something that you're investing in, where there is money involved, but you also want to prove to the people that are committing. Because this is the bit now, is that reciprocal exchange, is that when someone's committing to you, you have to make sure that what they're stepping into is such a worthwhile and enriching and learning space. So that, and as we're talking about, something that started in 2013, and those step ups have only been when I've become more committed, and that's only been within the past 2 years.
Yeah, and I guess the other part of that is, up until you ask people to put their hand in their pocket to be part of the community, and let's just break that down. Circle is an online platform. People who are members, got logins, and there's forums and training and all sorts of things. So it's a fully equipped online community. Paint a picture for us, because you started, this in Bournemouth and Poole, they're sort of close together. I don't even think there's a gap between them. Two large towns. I believe Bournemouth, I would call Bournemouth a city, but it hasn't got a cathedral, I was told, so it's not a city, it's a town. But it's a very popular seaside area of England. And I guess early days, as you said, you started to put on events based on the people who had subscribed to your newsletter, and as you said, a lot of them were locals, and so you started putting on events so people could meet face to face. Now it's a bit bigger than that, because there are people more spread across England. You've running an event in London shortly, and Bath, I believe.
Yeah, we're in London. Start of February, then in Bath, and so the intention is, as we progress through the year, is start to put these events in different places within the UK.
So how does that, I'm curious about, community coming from face to face, albeit it started as, online, that people could talk to each other, but a lot of still face to face is part of your value system, I guess. How does that work as you grow? Have you had any tension on that? How do you grow and continue to hold that really close community feel?
Yeah, it's important, because exactly as you're putting the project into different regions, you're letting go of something. And the only way that can work is trust with the people that are leading. For instance, I couldn't do it, right? Since many people, you experience burnout when you take too much on. And then for me, we made a decision to, listen, 2025 is about finding the others. There are other people from around the country and overseas that are part of the You Are the Media community. Why should we, the people that live on the south coast of England, have all the fun? We have a format for our events. So the events are around themes, the themes that are relevant to us as building businesses, and that could be around creativity, it could be around personal brand, it could be around side projects, it could be around reinvention. And so how can we now start to put these topics into other towns and cities around the UK. And the way that makes sure that if I to take out that when it's all on your shoulders is that it's a bit like opening another McDonald's and this kind of franchise approach. Whereas if somebody is a part of the community and they'd like to raise their game, right, everything about You, the media, was all about me. Right? In the build, when I said to, but this 2022 was this kind of moment that things changed, is that for many, many years, it was all about me. And what's happening now is that it's all about us. For instance, if someone is hosting an event in London, it's to help them build their visibility and other people to see them, because they may not. You understand that there are people that never had that opportunity before to host and take the microphone and to lead an event. And so it's by allowing other people, there is that trust with other people from the community, rather than just putting out a blanket, would you like to host an event, fill in this form, but other people that want to make that next step up in their own, for their own confidence or their own skill sets that they have. So that's where you take away from everything on you, where it becomes about us and the people that want to join in and to lead. And we're really up for it. And I'd like to. It's still hard work, but we now have a format and a way that it shapes. It can work. The London event, it's sold out. It's great.
Terrific. And with a lot of the people who have joined, a lot of them run their own businesses. Solopreneurs is a phrase we use now. Solo operators, mighty, small but mighty businesses, and often, their expertise and they've come out of bigger companies potentially, or they've pivoted into something that they really like doing. And that's a little bit about this show, is about that reinvention. You've been around the traps, you've done the corporate ladder, or you've run your own business for a period of time, and you might want to do something different, as you get, towards not the end of your professional career, but, well, I guess it is, not at the start of your professional career. How, you're close to a lot of these people. What are there commonalities? There's sometimes, and I'm talking people who, probably in their third plus decade of being in the trenches, professionally speaking, in business and in their professional life, that they running their own show. Do you find that, they're probably a bit more hesitant? There's more technology now. If they've never really got up and spoken on stage, that's a fear that we have going all the way through our lives. For a lot of people, just even, getting into a community for the first time, not knowing anyone, and having to, have the ice broken. You help break the ice for them. What sort of people are you seeing commonalities amongst that cohort?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It is a big step, making a step into a community, which is why it takes time. It's almost funnel-led here. So there's a newsletter that people subscribe to, then we have live events, and then there is the membership. So when it comes to that demographic and what we're the types of people that are joining. So I'm noticing this. There is a certain type, not a certain type of person, but you're right, it is those people that are fighting their own corners a lot of the time. But these are people, a lot of the people have been in senior positions. Listen up, this is by no means targeting senior marketers, but it's people that have come out of industries, big brands, and this comes to when it comes to attitude, it's people that still want to belong to something. They want to belong to something where they can progress. That is not seen as joining a networking group, perhaps. Just networking groups are great, but whether it's a means to an end in terms of building your network, how you can cement friendships and rapport and relationships with others, where you learn together. And my big struggle has been this. So that's the type of person, is someone that is fighting their own corners, that comes from, for many people, a senior background through different brands. That could have people from legal professions, marketing professions, accountancy. And what I've realised, and my own big struggle, has been around, when it comes to community, many of us step into spaces where there is a know-it-all culture, where you come, you pay, and you are spoon-fed by the person at the front. And that's fine, because we live in this world of celebrity, and particularly within the B2B world. And I've always really struggled with that, but I've only become comfortable in my own skin now, hence the show, of around building a learn it together culture. Because when you learn it together and you realise the talented people around you, you're you're smarter together rather than everything on one person. And that's the thing where I'm getting to now is this ability to reach out to other talented people where you can learn together rather than the one person who's at the front directing the learning.
This is why I wanted to chat to a number of reasons, because your story's a good one and you're just turning 50.
Get in.
And you found your purpose and you're kicking goals.
I'm ticking a box. It's the application process.
But the big box you're ticking here is that you have access to these people and you get to see people who are representative of our audience, right? That you clearly attract them. Yeah? You're attracting. That's why they're in there. You don't, you're not out ringing people. Oh, I saw you on LinkedIn. You look like you'd be right for us. People are attracted to you because they hear about you and they check it out. Then you might talk to them, to say, well, this is what we do. But at the end of the day, you're attracting that sort of person. You're actually attracting people who are listeners of the show, that type of person. I'd like to, you don't have to say names at all, but if there are examples of some individuals where you've seen how they've, what's the word? I don't want to say transformed because that sounds, like massive, but they've incrementally grown as a professional, as a business owner, by sheer dint of being part of your community. And the effect the community has had on their confidence, their creativity, their motivation.
Yeah, there's people that you will know as well. So there are people. There is a good person called John Jenkins. John Jenkins' background is accountancy. And so, for instance, for John, he started a newsletter to document the world of accountancy, what's broken, his frustrations. And it's allowed him to have, this comes back to this thing of, this is where the return is now, Trevor, confidence. Someone has the ability to step up, to be present. And that's the same with anything. You get out what you put into it. So there's a good person there. Another chap, Nick Whitner. Well, I talk about senior people in senior roles. He worked for a big brand, a big insurance company, a big global brand. So he was the marketing director. He made a sidestep from that. So he's very much in sustainability and a B Corp approach to our work and values. That's central to him. But how can he start to step up and start to practice and to share that so other people understand what he believes in? So he's stepping up and holding that torch to present and to host events as well. So there are many examples of people that you see the goodness in other people and recognize the talents that they have. People that have never hosted events, that were never given that opportunity. A man called Westrow Cooper. Westrow, senior copywriter, again, a quieter chap. By the way, I don't want to keep on just name dropping men, by the way. That's only just the way that's just come into front of mind. So someone there that is normally a quieter type of person, but is now hosting events. You have other people that are a part of that just never had that opportunity before, or this opportunity to share, or this opportunity to sit around the same table with other people. I'm with my heroes now, that's a liberating place to be. But this way of other people that were used to a way of working, but you understand that there are these talents inside others, and people just need to have that platform. This is the thing, very quickly, is that by creating the platform now, I'm stepping back. But when you're lucky enough to have the privilege to build these platforms and spaces, listen, anyone can do this. What happens is that other people can step up and to hone their own skills and be seen. So you're lifting each other up, and that's what community represents. Is that it's all about the people that sit around that campfire together, rather than you're sitting around the campfire because there's one person that you want to be sitting next to. Yeah,
it's a good point. And Jackie Goddard, who has been a recent guest on this show, who's, doing amazing things and, creating a Speak Like a Speaker club. She teaches people how to present and get confident on stage and in presentations. And, she's doing live streams and things like that. She wasn't doing that years ago. And, she's part of the community. I mean, she's a motivated individual. But when you get around people in a community, and where I want to lead to next is the power of being in a community and why you should seek out a community. So this is where I'm leading up to. But, if you get in that, you get the confidence to do it. You might get you might have a podcast and you get some friendlies in, or you want to do a dry run with your speech or something like that. You you can workshop stuff with other people, like minds. This is all about like-minded people.
Here's again, somebody else, we're just talking here. It's being brave and stepping up. Another good example is a lady called Susanna Ray. Susanna Ray, that you know as well, has been a guest on your show. And when we met last year, when Susanna came down when you was locally in Poole, is that Susanna created an event called Superfast Authority in 2024, and it was just an amazing online event. Oh, that you presented, and you was a part of that as well, weren't you?
An online summit.
And I was bowled over that someone can deliver. It was a free event. It was such a high caliber, where the focus was around authority, and having this ability to reach out to other people as well. So I presented, you presented as well. When you're a part of a community with others as well, it becomes easier to ask, because there is that association as well. And that's why community has its role, because it's nice to look around and other people can say, I'm a part of this too. That's really good.
Interestingly, this whole notion about, if you are a solopreneur, you are running your own business, it's lonely, as we know. We work from home more often than not now. I no longer go into the city to a co-working space. I paid for a year of it during COVID and never went back. But it's very easy, and I think post-COVID this is even exacerbated, even though we're a few years on, but I see it with people, I see it with friends as well. It's very easy to become a hermit. And look, if you've got a community that's local and you can get into it, fantastic. I'm talking probably more business, but I guess it doesn't have to be just business. But we're talking about, as a business, owner, it can be quite lonely to do that in that role. But if you do join a community, is it an online community? Is it an overseas community? What are the things people should look out for? Because there's a million, and I'm using air quotes, online communities out there, particularly in the business world. Some will call them masterminds, some will call them memberships, whatever it is. They've all got a role and a place to play, but there's a lot of dregs out there. There's a lot of stuff that's just there in name only. But so what are the things that people should look out for? Because I'm a big believer. I live in Melbourne. You're on the other side of the world. I feel very much a part of your world. I've spoken. I've done a talk there, one of your lunch clubs. I've done a boot camp for you, and I'm coming over in a few months' time as well.
He's coming over. He's in May, everybody. Trevor's in England in May. Good question coming out to. This is leading up to a good question of what to look out for. What to look out?
What are some things that people should look out for in order to join a community? And what are the green flags and what are the red flags?
Yeah, this is a good one. The most important thing is you need to. This is the kicker, because it's so difficult building something, because people need to see participation. There is nothing worse than paying money, membership, whatever, and it's all led by one person. Or you step into the space and it's an empty playground, and all you're left with is downloading PDFs and watching videos.
Yep.
The biggest thing that we have to, the biggest advice to anybody of thinking about stepping into a community, particularly an online community, is that participation from people. The red flags is that when it's quiet, or you may look and the last post was 6 months ago, where that can be one of the most disconcerting moments when you've paid for access. So we need to be aware of that. And we need to also be, the other good thing is, as well as this ability of this is where I see strength within the community, is access to each other. So rather than an access to the person who's at the front, who originated the community, like when I was highlighting some of the people within the community and how they're developing, is this ability to reach out to each other. If that's facilitated in a way that we know that we can participate and join in and to meet other people, that's great. because if we are online or offline, people shouldn't be kept away, because as you highlighted there,
Yep.
it's really lonely. It's super lonely when we're trying to figure this out by ourselves.
Yep.
And so there has to be ways where these bridges have to be built between each other. And then that's what community represents, is when it's people that are connected to each other rather than to the person that originated the community itself. Because then that's how we can build conversations, that's how we can build friendships, that's how we can build connection. Because at the end of the day, Trevor, while search is in front of us and Google and everything else and AI now what we're using, maybe all along, Trevor, the most important thing was that we were searching for each other.
Yeah. This is getting very deep. That's
what we're doing. That's why you're doing this podcast,
I
Trevor.
know.
This affirmation of this part of our lives.
That's it. Oh, gosh. I might write that one down. Now, what you started, I just want to backtrack. Let's call it a platform. You used the word platform.
Yeah.
And a lot of side projects have got a platform element to it. Not always, but I'm a big believer, and because my background is very strong on content is often the starting point. So someone starts a newsletter like yourself, or starts a podcast or a YouTube channel, and sometimes that's you build an audience, and then that's your starting point to move that audience, which is what you did, to a group. Is it on Facebook? Is it a paid group? Is it a free group? That they're different issues. But you've got to think of it as a platform, because it's how you're going to communicate with people, what value you're going to add in the first place. Because in the first place, it is just you as the leader of that platform, or you and others. Yeah. So what do people should think about when they're kicking off? They've got a big idea. And a lot of people I know, and maybe someone you're listening out there now, and you've got a big idea and it's been churning away, and you're now at a point where I can pull this off. I've got a bit more time. I can dedicate to it. The tools are there for me to do it. I can scale it. I have a big vision. I want to go global, or I want to nail it in my local area. But you're really probably talking about, if it's a big idea, it's probably going to have a platform type approach to it. I'm not talking about building software or anything like that. I'm talking about making an impact with an idea, or a concept, and that will probably require a platform of sorts, which will have its foundations in owned media content, social media, and maybe some earned media around, going back to my PR and content roots. What did you look at it that way in the early days? At what point did you look at it that, and how would you recommend people, if they've got that big idea, they want to have some impact, to look out for in terms of a platform? And they might say, look, I might want to build a community around it. I can't just start doing that. How am I going to do it? What advice would you have for those people?
So there's two things here to share. The first is, if we're starting, is to find something that that you cannot stop. We always hear about the steam that runs out of podcasts after a few shows. You have to know something, or a medium that that you cannot stop. Mine was writing, because I wanted to improve my writing skills. That's why I started a newsletter. And my other thing is I wish I knew this sooner, is this recognition of your values and how that aligns with the project, or how you're going to monetize. So how your values align with your work, but also how that aligns with other people as well.
Yep.
So if your thing is, for instance, it's how we start to differentiate, and it's about looking at ourselves. So for instance, if we were setting up a social media management company, it can't be around the deliverables. The thing that makes us different is the values that we have and that we've always stood by throughout our lives. For me, community to me is key, and my values of creativity and experimentation and interdependence and co-learning and support. If I can amplify that within the platforms that I use, live events, the weekly newsletter, that becomes easier for people to make that association. And it's about the simple things, and it's those simple things that are dear in your heart and what you stand for and believe in are also recognized by other people. Because most of our lives, we're driven by the industry. We're driven by the industry because the industry is the thing that gives us the payoff, and it's the thing that gives us the holiday. When we realize, with the podcast and the show that we have here, is that it's about what was always there in our hearts all along. And the story may go back to when we were a kid at school. That is the reason that affected something, or that moment in our lives that affected us. And that's the most important thing. We just need to tune into that. And I wish I knew that earlier, because then I could be more vocal about that, because then other people can say, like, I get it now. I get it. That whole thing. So where I started was industry related. It was content marketing. But where we are today is around those constructs and the values that we all have that are in us all. It's because that makes it easier for people to associate with and then decide to come on board. It feels easier when I'm talking about things such as creativity and sharpening our work and how we can build audience or how we can learn from each other. They become much more easier to identify with than starting giving it the big talk and strap lines, because it's the industries that we represented throughout our careers.
I love that. I'm glad you brought that up, actually, because we've spoken about values in the past, and it's such an important thing. And when we're talking values, it's identifying those values and your principles, and what you die on a hill for, metaphorically. Yeah. A lot of metaphors in this show. So identify, but being able to articulate it in a concise way again and again and again. It's not a message necessarily. It'll be a series of messages, but it'll be the spirit of the message that you're communicating out there. And that's how you find your like minds, because you want to repel the people who don't align to your values, and you want to attract the people who do. And that makes you almost it helps to knock away the competition, if there is competition in your space. And I think if you've got, I do think that, people have been around a little bit. They might not have sat down and looked at their values. I might do a show just on values, because I know when I articulated it, once I got to my values, it was never a surprise. But boy, it took some work to dig into it. And you're right, a lot of it does go back. Their values, they've been staring you in the face for decades. But the moment you can identify, articulate, and communicate those values in an authentic way, will make your business and your life so much easier, and particularly anything to do with selling a big idea, building a platform, attracting an audience, and growing a community. You want them of like minds and to be aligned with the way, your principles and values.
Because as well, whatever business that we may transition into, if that's what we come back to, because we realise that the talent was always in us, the opportunity was always within us. So as we see with AI and everything else, and we're seeing now, not a kickback against that, but we realise that the biggest difference all along was us. And that's what we talk about, the values and what the things that we believe in, and how we just need to be more apparent from that. So for instance, if we want to open that coffee shop, or what we're going to do, the reason that we do it comes down to that whole thing that we wanted to do it in the first place. It may be not around about setting up a coffee shop, but it's this idea of proximity and to be around other people. And we start to realise that, and that's what makes us tick, because then other people will understand that association and think, I'm on board. I get it now. Animated.
I need to be able to wrap this up, and I need to be able to articulate a lot of this, because there are dotted lines, but there is a narrative here. So let me give it a crack. Number one is, if you're a listener, if you're running a business, or even if you're a professional, you're out there kicking goals, you want to do something bigger than yourself, bigger than your business even, you want to have a greater impact, maybe legacy involved, whatever. Can you do that if you're not doing it already in your own professional life? Can you do it as a side project? Does that side project look like, needing a platform? What does that look like? Are you going to commit to it, building an audience, whatever, but understanding your values as part of that idea and being able to articulate that out. But I think we've always said too, that if you want to build a community, you need to be part of other people's communities. You just have to. And so even if you don't want to
I don't agree with that.
You don't?
I don't agree with that. I don't.
it comes from a LinkedIn scenario.
Okay.
Really, it came in from when people say,
okay,
I want to build a community on LinkedIn, but you make it all about you and you're not part of anyone else's community on LinkedIn. Sorry, that's more context. But I think that it's people who are doing their own thing, and even if they've got a big idea and they're focused on it or their business, they need to become part of other communities. And you've given some good reasons, some good things to look out for. I just think it's so important for your own mental health and your ongoing professional development. You do not stop learning.
Yeah, you don't. And coming to what you're kind of summarising and bringing up here is that when you start, you do it for you. You do it for you because you want to see that there is longevity in it. Like if you wanted to do a video series or whatever it is, you do it for you to practice your own skill sets that you may never had the opportunity before. So the more that you do it, the more confident that you become, the more that you're more eloquently spoken. And then as that progresses, you can then start to tune into the audience. So sometimes, and I think that's okay. I know we still need to make money and have people buy in and whatever we do, but you have to get people to trust you. So there's nothing wrong, which is why I started this as a side project, because I wanted to be better and build skills in different areas. As long as I had a means of income, it enabled me to practice. It's just that practice took me many, many years. But I'm okay with that. And for the purposes of this podcast, this is all about us playing the long game and still wanting to be here and still wanting to be relevant. And that's another reason for us to progress and to do this, is to understand our skill sets that we want to sharpen, then find other people that want to come along for the journey. That makes us all relevant and part of something that other people want to join in with as well over time.
Nicely summarised. The relevance thing is a huge one. It's if you're listening to this on a podcast, you would not have seen Mark punching the air. But the whole notion of relevance, just seriously, I think is a big thing. It's an issue for people. It's scary for people sometimes, particularly if you're winding down in your corporate life and your identity is being caught up in your professional life and you're not doing that anymore for whatever reason. You want to still keep getting out there and kicking goals, staying relevant. This is why you join communities. This is why you have projects. This is why you create content. This is why you connect with people on social media. These are all the reasons, and in aggregate, these things really irrelevance tactics, I must say. Any last sort of words, anything that we probably need to, any little gaps that we've missed, because there's been quite a big narrative across all this and we have diverged a few times. Any last words for the listeners?
No, it's just that if there's something that we want to pursue, we have to go for it. We have to be prepared that it takes time. And it's about making these iterations. And it's about if people don't show up, it may have been nothing to do with you. It just needs to be recognised, the tweaks that we need to make if we are serious about progressing our own efforts into something that become much bigger.
And I do want to throw in there that finding that, it sounds woo-woo, but that whole purpose thing. And we can go decades without finding our purpose. And I think values play a role in finding that purpose. But it's probably, you found yours by doing.
Yeah,
and I've never really found anyone who's found their purpose. I've never talked to anyone who's discovered their purpose, but they've just created it in the boardroom or, in the kitchen. It's really come from doing things. So, we talk about, you've got your purpose, you hit 50, you've been building towards a purpose. It's really strong for you now, but you had to put in yards to get to that. And it was just by doing that you discovered and then probably reinforced exactly what you're all about.
Yes, listen, all we want to do are the things that make us happy. But we just want to spend time with my family and just enjoy that. But if we can do that and start to realise, when you talk about that aspect of our purpose and the reason that we're doing things, when we slowly get to that place, it makes us feel happy, and the joy that we find from life. And isn't that really what it was all about, rather than being distracted because there's a phone with a feed to scroll and to go further down a hole? It's wrong. It's awful. It's just the simple things in life that was the reason all along. That's what I'm recognising.
We started talking about the newsletter. Let's finish with it. It's one of the very few newsletters I open up religiously every week.
Thank you.
I get it Thursday later in the afternoon. Most others in your neck of the woods get it early on a Thursday. I recommend people check it out. I think you'll get a lot of value out of it. It's well constructed. It's consistent. Everything we talk about here comes out in Mark's articles and the links that he shares. Where's the best place for someone to subscribe to said newsletter?
Yeah, come to youarethemedia.co.uk, and then you'll see a section called newsletter. So leave your email there, and as you just highlighted, you start to receive it every Thursday, no matter time it is in the world where you are. So and it's everything, and it is also an idea of this thing of community and it being a joint effort. Different people start every week. There are other people that are seen with it as well. So listen, thank you for giving me the opportunity to for people to join in.
No problem. Thank you very much for your wit and wisdom, Mark Masters.
Thank you, Trevor. Really appreciate that.